I really believe in my heart that the way you grow is by creating an infrastructure and a culture where each individual person is growing and people are growing in small groups and growing collectively, that the growth of a synagogue is not measured in sustaining shares, it's measured in how much the people who choose to join the community are growing in their Judaism, growing in thinking about life's big questions, growing in their sense of connectedness.
I am so excited to chat with you today and to get a real feeling for how you're settling into Montclair now that you and your family have moved up, and to get a real feel from you about what's in store for us as a community at Shomrei. It's a very exciting time. I'm sure we'll talk more, but I'm curious off the bat to hear from you how you feel like you and your family are doing now that you've shifted up here.
So we moved here 2 weeks ago, and we've tried out a bunch of restaurants, 2 ice cream stores. We've been to Eagle Rock Reservation, and my son Elon is rowing, and Raphael and Noah are climbing a gravity vault, and so we're getting settled in. I would say probably maybe 2/3 of the time when I drive home, I don't drive past my house. It helps that I have a horse hitch outside, so getting to know the area, but it's going to take some time.
How's the house?
How's the house?
Yeah.
The house has a great location and a lot of potential.
That's awesome. I heard you say that you tried out a pizza joint in town. I have to know where you went and then try and make some recommendations to you of where might be good spots. Where was your first pizza in Montclair?
Okay, so we live really close to the Walnut Street train station, so
Yeah.
I tried out Brick and Dough. It was very good.
Okay, great.
Kids liked it.
Great. I have been a big fan of Panzano's Pizza for a long time. I recommend it. Place to check.
I'll have to check it out.
Okay.
It seems like there's like 12 or more pizza
There are
joints
so
here.
many pizza joints
Yeah.
for every type of pizza and every connoisseur pizza person that you might want to go check out. They're all over. What strikes you as the most exciting thing about joining Shomrei at this time?
Well, I love the people. When I came here in an interview, I just felt a connection with what lifts me up spiritually and what gets me excited about Judaism. And I found here people who are curious and thinking and creative and happy with a lot of things about the synagogue, but also curious about where we can grow. And so I'm just excited to get fully started. When I get back from vacation, everybody I've met has been wonderful. You're so fun to work with. We've had a few meetings.
You're
I'm
nice.
not just saying that. I'm not just saying that. I just think this is a congregation with a wonderful history and a very bright future.
Are you finding that a lot of people are reaching out to you?
Well, you're asking me crazy questions. I have found that some people even volunteered to help me clean out the Rabbi's study, which was very appreciated. We've been invited for Shabbat dinner. We were greeted with this like huge welcome sign on our front lawn and a beautiful plant, and someone made us dinner. So we've definitely gotten a very warm welcome, but I think people also know they haven't officially started. So the floodgates will probably either open in August or when people get back from vacation in September.
There's like a palpable sense of congregants trying to keep their cool before they really like race to embrace. And I find it sort of very fascinating. It definitely feels like a calm before an exciting, really exciting period of time that everyone's looking forward to. What can you share with us about your vision for High Holy Day services?
So I've already been working on High Holidays quite a lot with Jeff and the Ritual Committee and Lily. And first of all, I'm somebody who actually really loves to pray. I mean, maybe most rabbis do, I don't know, but I really love to pray. But I really feel that the only way that High Holiday services are truly going to be magical this year is if everybody really gets in the spirit of the holiday, learns melodies, comes open-hearted, like really ready to engage. And so we're working as a ritual committee to create some classes before the high holidays.
Oh, that's great.
Big splash with slichot, with a musical ensemble and some workshops, and really on the high holidays to bring the best of what Shomrei has done the last few years, bring in the kids for the shofar service, all of the kids for the shofar service, but also have some times when kids have their own thing going on, really want to have multiple people leading. Lily and I are going to be leading Musaf together, hopefully with another leader, as well as building on all the great congregants who already read Torah, play cello, and do all these other things. So very spirited, very participatory, and hopefully also thought-provoking and heart-provoking.
Amazing. That sounds amazing, and I can't wait to jump in and join everything. Tell us about your priorities for the upcoming 6 months. How do you want to get started?
So I want to get started by knowing people, by building deep relationships. I really wanted to be a part of a congregation like Shomrei of this size, where it's possible to know everybody by name, to know their stories, and to really get a sense of what they already love about Shomrei and what they're yearning for in their lives that maybe hasn't been yet met by Shomrei or by other things that are going on in their life. And so first and foremost, I want to build relationships. There's going to be a whole bunch of meet and greets, but I also want to meet with people one-on-one in my office, over coffee in town, at their house, at my porch. That's first and foremost, getting to know people. And I think in addition, my other two starting off priorities are to really uplift the prayer experience on the high holidays. I love to really dance on Simchas Torah, and we're going to bring Zamru to Montclair. So some people experience the Zamru-like service the weekend I interviewed here. We're going to be doing Zamru once a month, and so I'm very excited to bring some of that musicality and spiritually uplifting spirit that the community said they were looking for in the Rabbi search questions that they answered. The other thing I'm really looking to do is to strengthen our educational programming across the age groups. We already have a fantastic nursery school. It's it's totally full. That's what I heard today.
Yep.
And JLC has a great model on Shabbat, and there's been a very dedicated group that studied with Rabbi Greenstein, and I think we can just build on the intellectual interests of the congregation, the curiosity. I want to make sure to find ways to study Judaism that speak to the bigger questions that people are asking in their lives, whether that's about family and relationships, or about ethics, or about politics, or Israel, or about connecting with religion and God, whatever it might be. And so I'm really looking to be very intricately a part of all of those parts of the Shomrei educational experience, and hopefully to do a strategic planning process together with the education team to think about what our long-term needs are in that area. Focusing
in on something that you just said, I'm very curious, how do you get the type of engagement that you're talking about? How do you reach out to people and invite them in the way that lets them know all of these new amazing things that are going to be going on?
So in general, I feel like everything starts with relationships. Not just because if you know somebody and you invite them to something, they might be more likely to come, but because if you know somebody, you might be able to shape something that really speaks to what they need on a deeper level. I'm really interested also in design thinking, which is all about trying to understand what the deeper need is, maybe even the unarticulated need. And so it's going to take time. And I'm hoping through this, the members and the staff who are involved and excited about what we're doing, we'll be able to spread excitement word of mouth, but also really customize what we do for different cohorts within the synagogue.
To my great detriment, I missed Zamru when you were here in town. And while I've done a fair amount of reading about it to learn what it was like, would you share a little bit more with the community about what to expect?
Well, I mean, I think you should expect to have trouble staying in your seat. Because you'll just want to move with the spirit of the music and the prayer. I think you should expect to hear melodies you know and love, and melodies from all over the Jewish world, some of which you aren't familiar with. I think you should expect to see the rabbi jumping up and down occasionally. And I think you should just expect to feel a spirit in the room that really takes you from the week which maybe was a good week, maybe it was a really stressful week, but was definitely focused on the everyday and just kind of uplift you into the sense of Shabbat and celebration and gratitude.
I love that idea that, when Friday comes, you can show up here and cleanse your spirit, prepare, get ready, and become part of this musical extravaganza. I hope I'm describing it right. Again, unfortunately, I wasn't there, but I'm...
And I definitely think the prayer service itself is core to Zamru, but part of it is the potluck dinner, which we're also hoping to continue and connecting with community. I think the relationships we build when we celebrate Shabbat with each other are as important as the prayer experience itself.
That's amazing.
I mean, I'm curious, Michael, if you were to ask that question, what are you most excited about in terms of being president, or what are some of your priorities as you look at your first 6 months?
I love it. Flipping the script on me. It's great. I feel a real sense of excitement. In my mind, I conceptualize it as a turning of the page, and that there are many things that our synagogue has been doing that are now turning the page. I know it's too soon to say that that's true about COVID, but I feel like we're entering a period of talking about what's next, and that feels very exciting to me. I'm very excited to have you here. I think that a fresh perspective on how we operate is really going to be a tremendous invitation to the community to show up and participate. And I think that changes in the education program, an opportunity to revisit how the program is structured and really think strategically, as you mentioned, about what does it look like in 5 years and in 10 years? How are we engaging with 2-year-olds that we want to stay a part of this community through and beyond their B'nai Mitzvahs? I find it very exciting. I feel like we're on the cusp of a transformation at the synagogue, and I'm excited to be a part of it. What else you got?
Should I keep going?
Sure, feel free.
So I believe that every single person in the community is on a journey and has what to learn. And it doesn't stop if you're the rabbi. Maybe if you're the rabbi, you actually get to do it more because you get to constantly be learning through conversations with people and through Torah study and other things. I'm wondering for you, Michael, what are you hoping to learn personally, Jewishly, as president?
It's really, hopefully I'm going to answer your question the right way. I've spent a lot of time over the past year or so really craving what I will call base education, an understanding of some of the specific rituals, and not only the names of those rituals, which is what I've become familiar with, but meaning behind those rituals. And I'm talking about the most standard. What is the structure of a Shabbat service? I was, as I was in between services one day, I opened up my book, and it lays out the structure of the service, and I'm telling you that I learned more from the dozen pages than I did in my 10 or 15 years of Hebrew education growing up. And for me, I feel like there's an opportunity in taking, for everybody who finds themselves in the same situation I am, which is we're participants, but there's a layer of base education that will open up a world of what I would call medium and then advanced education, which I feel like now that I'm engaging with in a certain way, I'm craving that sort of deeper understanding, because I'm finding myself spiritually connected to the words that I'm saying in a way that I never have in my life before. And that is making me ask questions. And if you see me lean over to my wife during services, I'm most likely asking, what do you think this means? What are we talking about here? And Jewish education has never been something that I found myself craving in the way that I do at this very moment. And finding a group that doesn't feel intimidating to me has been really difficult, because the people that I found really want to learn and study are very learned. They already are. But I've recently begun speaking to a lot of people who I find might be in the same boat as me and might be actually interested in what I would call medium adult education. Like, let's talk about the basics. Let's learn what the structure is. Let's get you engaged and involved in a way that you maybe never have before. And in fact, that reality is one of the reasons that I chose Shomrei, that my wife and I chose Shomrei for our family. We wanted a place that felt like we could grow in a way that was less performative than other synagogues. My synagogue, where I was growing up, felt that way. I want a place that feels like it's an invitation in to spirituality and not, you don't know this already? That's the person that I am. The person that I am needs, I think, a base education. And I'm ashamed to say it, if I had paid better attention between the age of 5 and 13, I would know the answers to these questions. But now here I am in a place where I'm craving it, and I feel like I'm going to get it over the next few years.
I really believe in my heart that the way you grow a community, a synagogue community, is by creating an infrastructure and a culture where each individual person is growing, and people are growing in small groups and growing collectively. That the growth of a synagogue is not measured in sustaining shares, it's measured in how much the people who choose to join the community are growing in their Judaism, growing in thinking about life's big questions, growing in their sense of connectedness.
And that's an open door for me, and I feel very excited about it. I mean, both for me personally and for the idea that folks who identify in the same way that I do as part of the Shomrei community right now will have an opportunity to say, this is what I would like. This is where I would like to learn. These are things that I wish to have. And one of the impressions I've gotten of you in our somewhat short time together is that you want that feedback, and you want to craft education and ritual around those needs. That's the people saying, here's how I wish to engage with my spirituality. Is that okay? Can we make something that feels great to me? And I find that to be one of the most exciting parts about the moment that we're at. Really a true deep engagement on what works for you. How can we all move through this separately and together as a collective, as a congregation, and make everyone feel this is the place they belong. Shomrei is the place where you should come.
I love that. You just gave a whole extra layer of meaning to Open Door Judaism.
Oh, right? I did not intend to.
But right? Open Door Judaism is like you can come through the doors without having to pay a certain amount of money. But you described an Open Door Judaism where Judaism, the door to Judaism is open.
Yes. And welcoming.
Yes.
Yeah, come walk through the door.
Walk through the door with us.
I really love that. I'm getting emotional about it, even just discussing it, because it feels like, I mean, I could tell a long story about how I departed my Jewish education after my bar mitzvah and didn't feel an invitation back to it for more than a decade. And then when I did, realized almost immediately that it was a giant absence in my life. And it was something that I wanted to engage in more deeply. And then, again, didn't really find the invitation into the community I wanted to be a part of until I came to Shomrei.
You know, talking to you makes me realize, what am I most excited about?
Yeah, tell me.
I'm most excited about formulating a vision together as a community for what we value and for how we want to be together in the world, how we want to build sacred community, how we want to live our lives as a sacred gift. And I know, that I have to experience a year here, before really going through that process, while listening very carefully and occasionally amplifying the hints that I get. And so I think one of my challenges will be just being patient enough to wait for the right time to really think about, what can this community be at the deepest level and at the highest level and at the most connected level. Super excited about that.
Well, we're excited that you're here to walk that path with us and really embrace it and take the time you need. We're excited for your ideas whenever they feel ripe enough to share and send us off in the right direction.
So you asked if our family was being bombarded.
Yeah.
No, we actually haven't been bombarded.
Oh, good.
And because I think people are like, don't bombard them,
Yes.
right? But I do want to say...
Yes, that was an actual conversation that we actually had about...
Yeah, that was
should we dial it back a second? We're so excited.
And we've appreciated a little space to just, find a place to sleep, unpack our kitchen and all of that. But I just want people to know it was a big move for our family to leave a place my kids had lived their whole lives, and that Justice and I had lived together our whole married life, and that we lived in 17 years. And we almost know no one in Montclair. The only people we know are people we've met in the synagogue. And so we're really eager to get to know people, not just like personally me as a rabbi in terms of my work as a rabbi, but us as a family, as a part of the community. We joined the community as members. We see ourselves as fully a part of this community. We understand, that I have a role to lead the community, but we really do hope that people won't be shy, not bombard us, but not be shy about reaching out and welcoming us personally. It was very meaningful that somebody invited us for Shabbat dinner, our second Shabbat here, because we're just like one person at a time, weaving ourselves into community.
Tell me about how your husband's work is going to change based on the move. Does it at all? Is it just we're closer to the city and that's better for him?
Well, we're much closer to the city. He used to commute an hour and 50 minutes from Princeton each way. Uh-huh. And I think it's still a little bit over an hour, but he saves like 40 minutes each way. And so that's just,
that's his family time right there.
Time back for his family. Maybe the kind of COVID arrangement where he does most of the cooking, he's the better cook, will continue because his commute will be shorter. But his work won't change. I think the biggest change will actually be we rarely went into New York for fun, because Justice was always schlepping there for work, and he never wanted to go. And it's far from Princeton. So even to go to a Broadway show, go to a museum, or for me, to see friends from rabbinical school live in New York, or whatever it might be, as a family, we really didn't go in. And so I think that'll be a change. For Justice, it's a shorter commute, and for our family, it's like a whole new possibility.